The torches stretch their light across the marble floor as Flavia walks barefoot. Each step takes something from her. Not visibly. Not yet. But with every movement forward, the distance between who she was this morning and who she is becoming grows wider. Her breath shakes, not only from the cold stone beneath her feet, but from the pressure that has been tightening around her chest since the sun went down. Behind her stand 7 figures. They do not follow. They do not rush. They wait. Their bodies are still, shaped by shadow and lamplight, faces unreadable. Not merciful, not cruel, simply accustomed. These are people who have seen this before, people who know how this night unfolds and have no reason to interrupt it. She was told this was tradition, that every Roman bride had walked this same path. That fear was normal. That resistance would bring disgrace upon her father's house. No one told her what the ritual actually required. Not when the streets were filled with music. Not when the saffron veil was placed over her head. Not when the crowd cheered and threw nuts at her feet, symbols of fertility and abundance. Only now, as the public ceremony dissolves and the doors close behind her, does the truth begin to surface. It is the year 89 of the Common Era, during the reign of Emperor Domitian. Flavia is 18 years old. Tonight, her legal identity will change, but something deeper is already shifting. The day began with gestures everyone recognized. Her hair was divided into 6 braids and bound with woolen ribbons. Omens were read after sacrifice. A contract was signed transferring her from the authority of her father to that of her husband, Marcus Petronius Rufus, a grain merchant 25 years her senior, a man she has barely spoken to. This part was familiar. This part could be explained. It was the part that could be discussed in daylight. What waited beyond the torchlit procession belonged to a different register of Roman life, one rarely named, one rarely questioned, a world where tradition stopped being symbolic and became procedural, where the bride's body ceased to be personal and became evidentiary. The procession through the streets resembled the painted walls of Roman villas. Neighbors sang ritual verses meant to provoke laughter, though their words were explicit enough to make Flavia's face burn beneath the veil. They called it celebration. It felt like exposure. Her mother walked beside her, face rigid. Earlier that morning, while braiding Flavia's hair, her hands had trembled. She wept quietly. Not from nostalgia, not from farewell. Before the procession began, she held her daughter with unexpected force and whispered words that refused to loosen their grip. Do not resist. Whatever happens tonight, do not resist. Resistance only makes things worse. Flavia did not ask what she meant. As the streets narrowed, the house of Marcus Petronius Rufus emerged ahead. 2 torches burned at the entrance, marking the place where the union would be completed according to Roman law. Marcus lifted her and carried her over the threshold. A gesture repeated so often that no one remembered it once mimicked abduction. The doors closed. The noise of the street vanished. Inside, silence took its place. But it was not empty. It was dense, filled with presence. Flavia's eyes adjusted to the dim light of the atrium, and with it came understanding. This was not privacy. This was oversight. Every object in the room had a purpose. Every person present served a function within a structure carefully designed to legitimize what was about to occur. To one side stood the pronuba, the woman assigned to oversee the ritual. Upright, composed, dressed in ceremonial garments. Her posture suggested decades of repetition, of watching identical scenes unfold without interruption. Nearby, a priest murmured prayers. Their origin was unclear, ancient, revised, repurposed, words spoken as though responsibility could be shifted upward, placed in divine hands. In the corner waited 3 slave women holding vessels of perfumed water and clean cloth. Their eyes were lowered, trained to witness without acknowledgement. Against the wall stood an older man carrying a leather satchel. Medical instruments rested inside. His presence was not incidental. It represented the legal dimension of marriage. He was not there to comfort. He was there to record, to certify, to confirm that Roman law had been satisfied. But Flavia's attention fixed on the structure draped in heavy cloth at the far end of the atrium. Its shape was irregular, its height unsettling. She didn't yet know what it concealed, but instinct told her this object was central, the core around which everything else revolved. The pronuba stepped forward and took Flavia's hands. Her grip was not violent. It was final. The touch of someone offering guidance rather than choice. "Welcome to your husband's house," she said, her voice carrying ritual authority. From this moment forward, the sacred rites must be completed according to tradition. Flavia understood, in theory, that Roman marriage was not romantic. Her father had explained it many times. It was a transfer, a legal mechanism known as conventio. In Manum, the absorption of a woman into her husband's family, nearly indistinguishable from property. Dowries were calculated, witnesses assembled, contracts finalized. What she had not imagined was how fully that logic extended into the night itself. The pronuba spoke calmly, as if reciting something memorized since childhood. She explained that just as land must be inspected before sale, just as a ship must be examined before changing ownership, marriage required verification. Her tone held no cruelty. This was simply how the world worked. In that moment, Flavia felt herself trapped inside a machine constructed long before her birth, a system that made no distinction between land, livestock, and human bodies. At a gesture from the pronuba, the air in the room seemed to thicken. Flavia was guided toward the covered structure. The witnesses lowered their heads, not out of reverence, but expectation. When Flavia reached for the cloth and pulled it away, the atrium fell into a silence so complete it felt physical. Before her stood a wooden figure, upright, polished, purpose-built. Its meaning was immediate and unbearable. This was no amulet, no decorative statue. This was something older, more deliberate. "You must greet Mutunus Tutunus," the pronuba said, her voice approaching sanctity. "You must ask his blessing and present yourself as tradition requires." Flavia had heard the name only in fragments, whispered by older women, always followed by deflection. A god so uncomfortable that even the Romans preferred not to name him aloud. Mutunus, Tutunus, god of marital initiation, god of fertility, rarely depicted publicly, rarely discussed without discomfort. Ancient writers mentioned him obliquely, each avoiding detail in their own way. The avoidance itself revealed everything. The pronuba adjusted Flavia's posture with practiced precision. Around them, witnesses kept their eyes lowered, not from shame, but because emotion was irrelevant. The ritual demanded completion, not feeling. The priest remained silent. The physician observed. Marcus watched from the edge of the room, tense, as though he too were constrained by his role. In that moment, Flavia understood something essential. This had nothing to do with gods. It was a mechanism, a threshold, a controlled breaking in of obedience before the marriage formally began. There was no explicit violence. There did not need to be. The structure itself carried the force. Hands guided her movements, corrected any hesitation, eliminated any gesture that could be interpreted as refusal. The witnesses observed without reaction. Their purpose was certification. Afterward, slave women approached with bowls of perfumed water. They washed Flavia carefully, methodically, as if erasing contact while leaving its mark intact. The physician stepped forward again. His examination was precise, administrative. Flavia was not a frightened young woman to him, but a document requiring verification. Before the wedding, an initial examination had been conducted and recorded. It was never meant to be the last. Now came comparison. His hands moved with technical efficiency. When he finished, he nodded to the pronuba. The process could continue. The room prepared for consummation was not private. It was arranged for visibility. The bed positioned toward the door. Lamps placed so no shadow could obscure what was meant to be seen. The door remained open. Witnesses stood nearby. Not participants. Not voyeurs. Certifiers. The pronuba announced that the bride was prepared, that the gods had sanctioned the union, that the law required completion. Time stretched. Instructions were given quietly, mechanically, as though following a manual. When the pronuba declared the requirements satisfied, Marcus stepped back with visible relief. The physician returned one final time. Another examination, another confirmation. Only then was the transformation complete. Flavia was no longer merely a daughter. She was, by Roman law, a wife. As dawn approached and the house settled into silence, Flavia understood why her mother had cried. Not because she was leaving, but because something inside her had learned it would no longer be asked. In the years that followed, Flavia became what Rome expected. She managed the household, attended rituals, bore children, appeared dignified, silent. No one ever asked about her wedding night, and she never spoke of it. Not because she wished to protect others, but because there was no language capable of translating what had occurred. Silence was the only medium Roman women were taught to survive in.